Hello everyone, I'm Jake. Welcome to our channel, Jake and Demi. And the topic for today's video is daycare centers in Canada. All of you who are now planning to come to Canada and are also parents, one of the major concern for you is the daycare facilities in Canada for your little angels. Of course, now as a couple, if you both are planning to work in Canada, which you will, then you need someone who can look after your child, and that's where the daycare facilities comes into question. Now, getting a new member in the family, a child, the lovely angel, is a very exciting and a happy feeling, but it brings along with it lots of responsibilities and challenges, and daycare facilities is one of those challenges. In this video, I'll try my best with a lot of responsibility to provide you an honest information and opinion so that your mindset is ready when you come to Canada to deal with this challenge and a situation. Step by step, I will tell you, number one, what are the types of daycare facilities available in Canada? What are the vacancies available? How do you go online and register yourself? What are the fee structures for them? And what age groups are allowed in those daycare facilities? I would also provide you a bonus information about how you can claim these childcare fees in your taxation at the end of the year, and also the availability of subsidy from the provincial authorities for childcare benefit. So let's start this video. Right there on your screen, I'll show you the types of facilities that are available in Canada. I live in Toronto, which is in Ontario. So the example in case would be the Ontario childcare facilities. More or less all the provinces are same except Quebec City and Montreal. But then again, those are predominantly French-speaking territories, which are, in my opinion, not ideal for new immigrants. So that's why our discussion or our example would center around Ontario, British Columbia and Alberta. These are the main provinces where most of the new immigrants come and start their new life. So let's start this video with the first step, the types of daycare facilities available in Ontario, in Toronto. Here on your screen right now, I'll show it to you. So let's start with the first step. What kind of childcare facilities are available in Ontario? In Ontario, there are three basic types of childcare: licensed childcare centers, licensed home care, and unlicensed childcare. Let's start with the number one, licensed childcare center. Licensed childcare centers care for infants and toddlers as well as preschool and school-age children. They include nursery schools, full day and extended hours care, and before and after school programs. Childcare centers operate in a variety of locations including workplaces, community centers, schools, and places of worship. Now, what are the benefits of these childcare centers? First, government regulated and inspected. Children are with other children their age, so developmentally they develop more. Staff members include professionals with training in early childhood education. Center has to meet certain standard of care as per the provincial authorities. Activities are designed for children at different stages of development. A childcare fee subsidy may be available. Now let's look at the second one, licensed home childcare. Now, individual home caregivers are not licensed by the Ministry of Education but are contracted by home childcare agencies that are licensed by the ministry. Who are these individual home caregivers? Someone who start at their home and they start giving daycare services. Now, what are the benefits of these home childcare? They are also government regulated and inspected home that meets specific standards. Siblings can be placed together. Now, the size of the group in this case is smaller. Childcare agencies to provide caregivers professional development opportunities, support and monitoring. Childcare fee subsidies may be available in this case also. And there are certain standards that must be met by caregivers. Now let's look at the third one, unlicensed care. In Ontario, unlicensed informal care is not regulated by the government. These unlicensed caregivers are not inspected by the Ministry of Education and are not required to meet provincial standards. However, the Ministry of Education does investigate all complaints from the public about childcare providers who may be operating illegally. Now, when I say about licensed or unlicensed daycare center, one thing I want to tell you that it is at the end of the day responsibility of a parent to find the perfect daycare centers, because being licensed or recognized by the provincial authority does not guarantee the quality of service. Yes, it guarantees the safety and the health standards which are set up by the provincial authority. But again, as I said earlier, the quality of care given to your child by the caregiver is not regulated or monitored by the provincial authorities. That is something you have to find on yourself by speaking to the neighbors or the other parents who are sending their kids to the daycare centers. You have to find out where the caregiver actually care for your kids. Alright, so now we are clear about three kinds of daycare centers or daycare facilities that are available in Canada. Now let's take the example of Toronto and find out how you can actually go about find those licensed centers and register yourself on that. I'll quickly show you on the website, which is www.toronto.ca. You can actually go online and register yourself. So let's have a look at that, how you do that. So as you see on this website www.toronto.ca, you open this page and it will take you to TELCCS, basically Toronto Early Learning and Childcare Services. So here you go, you scroll down and there you see TELCCS registration. Click on that. It will take you to TELCCS waitlist registration. Yes, you have to register yourself in the waitlist because these centers are in great demand and the vacancies are very less. So here you are the first time user, so here you will say the option no and you start your application, as simple as that. It will take you further down and there you go. So now here in this option you can even find the different centers that are available in your area. On this page, like here, this is an entire list of these licensed recognized daycare centers. Let's for example open this one and here it shows you the entire detail. Infant capacity 10, vacancy yes, toddler no, preschool no. They even give you the rating, contact number, languages spoken by staff, Armenian, Bengali, Japanese, Mandarin, Persian. So there are different details which are given, even dietary services are given, the kind of food that is available there, and for extra support you can contact them on this number. So basically that's how you go about on this website and find out about all these daycare centers which are licensed and which are regulated by the provincial authority. On the same website here you can also check the daily public fees, the fees for that center. Let's say license centers fees. Here the fees is given daily fees effective from April 1, 2019. For infants birth to 18 months, $96.20. It is astronomical. I mean, how can you even pay that much money? This is ridiculous. So you go through this entire list and you will see the fees for all different age groups and different daycare facilities, kindergarten. My God, this is really expensive. That's a lot of money you have to pay for daycare centers. Now let's see the Toronto Home Childcare Center, the private homeowners who start daycare. Of course, in this, the fees is almost half of the licensed and provincial authorities run daycare centers. Like for under 2 years, full time is $48 daily, whereas in the earlier one it was $96. So in comparison, home daycare centers are cheaper. Wow. I'm little shocked. Not little shocked, I'm shocked big time. The fees for daycare are astronomical. How can you afford to pay that kind of fees? I mean, just in Toronto, if we take an example, a monthly fees for daycare comes to around $1,600. That's a lot of money to pay every month. So now the biggest challenge obviously is the fees, which are absolutely ridiculous. The second challenge is the waiting list. I mean, no matter where you are in this country, the waiting lists are everywhere because the demand for these daycare centers surpasses the supply or the vacancies available or the spots available in these licensed daycare centers. So basically, you have to register yourself while you're pregnant. So by the time your child is born, you might be lucky enough to find a spot in these licensed daycare centers. Then again, if you don't find a spot, the other options are obviously the unlicensed one, which are not regulated by the government. Then the total responsibility is on you. You have to be extra careful about your child when they go to the daycare centers. And that is not the end to the problem of waiting lists. In some of the places, especially in Edmonton and Alberta, even to book a spot in that waiting list, you might have to pay a fees just to be on that waiting list, which can go around $100 to $200 per spot. So if you are planning to apply at least in 3 or 4 centers, which means you are paying at least $100 to $200 per center just to be on that waiting list, which is ridiculous. Luckily, in Ontario, the government banned the fees for the waiting list, even though in some places they still ask for the fees. But more or less, it is banned in Toronto, in Ontario. Now, let's say that since in this matter you don't have much of a choice and you deal with this astronomical fees and the problem of waiting list, then comes many other problems, because these daycare facilities are not flexible enough for most of the parents, because your working hours can be different, but these daycare centers, they operate on their schedule, like from 7 a.m. in the morning till 5 p.m. in the evening. So you need to be there on time to pick up your child, and if your work finishes at 5 and then you have to come back to the daycare center and pick up your child, it becomes very difficult. It also narrows down your options of looking for a job, because you can only look for a shift which is 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So that is a big challenge as a parent. Now, in case you think about arranging for a pickup by a car or a transportation, then you end up paying a ridiculous amount for the transportation, almost $1 per minute every day. That further adds up to your childcare expenses on a monthly basis. Beyond all these challenges, not all parents are able to still find the spot in the waiting list or in these licensed childcare centers. So the next option available to them is either getting a babysitter or a nanny. Now for that, of course, there is a site I'll show you on which you can go and find a registered nanny. So you go on this site canadiannanny.ca, and here you can simply find a loving nanny in your area. There you go, scroll down the page and there are nannies who put their profiles. You can select them or you can browse local nannies as per your area wherever you're living. So this is a very simple way of finding a nanny in your neighborhood, but again, finding a nanny is one thing, hiring a nanny is another thing. Nannies are expensive business in Canada. Let me show you the fees that these nannies charge per hour basis in different cities, in different provinces. So this is a basic average nanny pay per hour. In Toronto, Ontario, $15.17, Montreal and Quebec, $13.39, Calgary, Alberta, $14.41, Ottawa, Ontario, $13.99 per hour, Edmonton, Alberta, $14.39, Vancouver, British Columbia, $15.68. The most expensive nanny available is in Vancouver, British Columbia. I mean, these are ridiculous numbers. It's almost double the fees that you have to pay at the daycare center. Of course, nanny is expensive, but nanny comes with her own advantages. She can come to your house according to your timings and can stay back while you're still at work, and on your way back home, the nanny can still be there taking care of your child by the time you reach home. But again, you have to pay a very high price for it. In my opinion, hiring a nanny for new couple is a very expensive business. All in all, I personally feel that daycare facilities should be like a set fee structure, just like it is in Quebec and Montreal. In Quebec, it's a monthly $175 only fees, because it is a set fees across the board. But in other provinces, that system is still not applicable. You still have to pay a lot of money for daycare centers. So now we know how expensive childcare centers are in Toronto, in Ontario. Let's talk about how much of that you can claim from your tax benefit at the end of the year, and who all are eligible to make that claim. So the first thing that you have to keep in mind to claim these benefits at the end of the year from your tax return is that the child must be younger than 16 years of age. Child must be yours, your common law partner or spouse's child, and be dependent on you, your spouse or your partner. According to CRA, the Canada Revenue Agency, disabled dependent children can be of any age as long as they are dependent on you, your spouse or your partner. Now the question is, how much can you claim? Canadian taxpayers can claim up to $8,000 per child for children under the age of 7 years, $5,000 per child for children under the age of 7 to 16 years. For disabled dependent children of any age who qualify for the disability tax credit, the amount to claim for that child is $11,000. For a boarding school or overnight camp, you may only claim up to $200 per week for a child under the age of 7 years, $275 per week for an eligible disabled child, and $125 per week for a child aged 7 to 16 years. So this is the basic of childcare benefits which the government gives you. Now, even your daycare fees can be claimed under childcare expenses. You can claim childcare costs paid to daycare centers, day nursery schools, caregivers such as nanny, day camps and overnight boarding schools and camps that provide lodging. In Canada, if you pay an individual person such as a nanny or babysitter, you must provide their social insurance number. Also, the CRA requires proof of expenses in the form of receipts and that you may be audited. Paperwork is very important in Canada. That was the information that I could gather for you on this topic. I request any new parent who lives in Toronto or anywhere in Canada and who are watching this video, if you have more information regarding this topic, kindly provide to us in the comment section and help everyone learn more about this topic. So I made this video today just to mentally prepare you when you're right now in your home country, that when you come to Canada, these are the challenges related to daycare that you will have to face. If you are prepared, I'm sure you will be able to take smarter and well-planned action. But this is the reality of daycare centers in Canada. I would request all of you to put your comments and opinions in the comment section, and let's talk more about it and try and understand more about this sensitive issue. See you next time.